Hello and welcome here to Summit Points for the fourth round of racing action in the SRL TCR League for the 10th season here as we get ready to go racing. We have gone away with the walls and the tight streets of Long Beach, and we are now here with lots of open spaces for drivers to wash themselves out to if there are any incidents. But of course, we're hoping for no incidents tonight, just clean, hard racing. However, it is hard to ignore what happened last week, so much so that there are a few changes to the championship. We'll discuss more of those in a moment's time. But before we get on too much with tonight, let's have a look at the calendar for this season. 3 rounds completed at Jerez, Motegi and Long Beach. We're here out at Summit Point for the 4th round of asking, and we go to Hungaroring next to mark the halfway point of the season. I can't believe we're already that close to the halfway point of season number 10. Round number 6 then, we head across to the Virginia International Raceway. It seems like a big track for drivers wanting to get out there. It sounds like it's going to be a heck of a race with some of the interviews we've done over the past few weeks. We then head across to the Italian countryside and the Mugello circuit for the 7th round of asking before we go to a staple of touring car racing, the Brands Hatch GP circuit through the woodlands of Kent. It is going to be a fantastic 8th round, 9th round of the season. We are going to go across back to Spain for the 2nd time this season. It'll be the Catalunya circuit for that one, and then we return to America for round number 10 at Road America to finish this season off. It is going to be an absolutely fantastic set of races coming up, of course, but we've still got one going on tonight, and that is around the circuit of Summit Point, built back in the late 1960s into the 1970s. In fact, it was opened before it was complete. The carousel section of the circuit, which is after the left-handed hairpin through the 6 and 7, never used to be there when it was opened originally. They added that on a year later, we now run through, and since then it has been completely unchanged. So has the Jefferson circuit, was introduced during the 90s. That runs just to the south of the circuit here around Summit Point, and one that creates some great racing itself. And then of course there is the Shenandoah circuit as well, but that is the tight technical concrete jungle that is used mostly for driver training. This main course, however, has been a mainstay in national racing around the United States. And today we take the wonderful TCR machines down onto the track to see what they can do. Some updates then to the SRL rulebook out of Long Beach. There were a few changes due to driving standards that we saw around Long Beach. Of course, this is now a very, very full grid of drivers. Over 50 drivers registered for the league. We are seeing consistently close to 40 drivers every week. So therefore, we have had to introduce a penalty system for the first time into the SRL TCR Championship, and I haven't got the commentary booth open for you just yet because I've got to look completely the other way to look at this rulebook. So an update to the penalty system then is going to be reviewed through the incidents, which can be reported by our drivers. Penalty points are going to then be applied depending on the severity of the incident. Now, unlike most league races out there, because the points that you gain in these races are from your overall positions and not your class positions, it was deemed too harsh to take a set amount of points off of a driver because it would impact an amateur driver more than a pro driver. Therefore, it is a percentage of points earned in a race in which drivers will get their points deducted. If a driver does not finish a race or complete 75% of that race, that penalty that they've been given will be applied in the next race. And we do have some of those tonight. We'll talk you through those in just a moment's time. There are 4 tiers to the instance. The first tier being a 10% race points rounded up deduction, excluding the bonus points. Tier 2 is a 20% race points. Tier 3 is 30% race points. And Tier 4 instance are 50% of your race points that will be deducted. Instance that occurred during a qualifying session, however, so if there's any issues during a qualifying session, well, those penalty points will be applied in the next scoring race, which will most likely be the first race of the evening. Drivers can also get warnings as well. 3 successive warnings can result in a penalty, a Tier 1 penalty, in fact. But if a driver does get a warning and they manage to get through 2 races without instance, those warnings will be reset and they won't have any more to their names. So drivers just got to make sure that they are keeping it hard out there, but they are keeping it fair at the same time. Let's get across then to the commentary booth for the first time tonight. And hello and welcome to the SRL TV's and the Joseph Wright Broadcasting's commentary booth for tonight's event around Long Beach. And I have got a stack of information here, including a penalty list from the Long Beach round where instants were therefore reviewed and a penalty has been applied. A few big names in this one with some big points being deducted. Let's go through them then, through just some of them. Ronald de Jong has got a T2 outcome, a Tier 2 penalty, which is he got 5 penalty points to his name in race number 1. James Colden got a Tier 4 penalty, which is 50% of the race points. That will be deducted in his next race. And I'm just having a look here along our timing screen. I cannot see Colden in the session, which means that will continue to tick over until the next race. Tier 4 is a big penalty, 50% penalty points on that one. Gonzalo Lovera got a penalty, 10 penalty points to his name in race number 1, and Daniel Downing got 4 penalty points taken off of him from a Tier 1 penalty. A couple of warnings in that one. Marhan Kodeman in race number 2 got a Tier 4 penalty. He did not get finish that race, so his will carry over to the next race, and I'm just having a look to see if we've got Kodeman in the session tonight, and it doesn't look like we've got Kodeman, so again that will carry across into the next one. Deck Crowther, Tier 1 penalty. He will also get that one applied in this race because he did not finish, and I'm just coming to have a look to see if Crowther is here. Deck Crowther is here, the semi-pro driver in the 167 machine, so he will be dealing that penalty in race number 1 if he completes 75% of it, which will be 10% of his race points rounded up. The big ones, the big name of penalties coming out of Long Beach, Jack Boulton. Race number 1 got a Tier 1 penalty for hitting Jaden Scotton. He got 5 penalty points in that one. It was a 10% of his overall race points. However, race number 2 was his big one. We talked with Jack following the race. He had his view on the incident. We did watch that replay of the incident with Vigard Olsenlia a number of times. So did the stewards. It was a Tier 3 instance. They've decided to pull that one on because of Vigard Olsenlia losing a lot of positions following the contact. And because Jack Boulton went on to win that race, because Tier 3 is a 30%, 40%, now I've forgotten, I think it's a 30% penalty to his name. It's 23 points. So over the course of last weekend, Jack Boulton lost 28 points to penalties. What that does mean is there has been an impact on the championship standings, as I think you can expect when we lose that many penalty points. So let's have a look at the Pro Championship standings heading out of round number 3 at Long Beach and into round number 4 here at Summit Point. Adam Delmont is going to lead the way in the Pro Championship with 387 points, taking over from Jack Boulton, who drops down to 360 points and second in the championship. And I'm looking across at the timing sheet as well. Jack Boulton is not here tonight either, which is a shame for him, but it is great news for our championship leader, Adam Delmont. Delmont, of course, winning the championship in season number 7, so looking to go for his second. Will Lyon is in third position in the Pro Championship ahead of Dan Mould at the moment. Kim Borkland sits in 5th position. Logan McKenzie in 6th. Luciano Espinera sits in 7th ahead of Jaden Scotton. Anthony Lammer and Arthur Thurtle round out your top 10 in the Pro Championship. We then have a look, if we can, at the next page. My hotkey not working, and Declan Marsden yet to get a point on the board, yet to see him participate. The semi-pros then, the second highest championship, the new championship for season number 10, is still being led by Andrew Lovesey. Lovesey, however, not going to be here tonight. He is on date night, so have fun with that, Andrew. But it does mean that the drivers behind will be clawing at him to move past him in that semi-pro championship. Kev Aylett right now on the hunt in second with 229 points. Daniel Downing just a further 10 points behind in third, and a further 10 points back is Carl Hardy in 4th position. Then it is a slurry of SRL cars. John Brown, Daniel Lewis and Stephen Fry 5th, 6th and 7th respectively. Deck Crowther in 8th. Remember, he does have that penalty to serve in this race tonight, which will be 10% of his scoring points in the first race that he scores points, so most likely race number 1. Mark Draper will start in 9th position. Is sitting in 9th position, 2 points behind Deck Crowther. And then Marhan Kodeman right now is rounding out the top 10 in that championship. Ronald de Jong sits in 11th, Jay Cooley sits in 12th, and Tom Woodcock in 13th position. Cooley not getting many laps on the board in the series so far. He's not here again tonight, which is a shame for him, sitting towards the back of that semi-pro championship. Across to the Pro-Am Championship, and it's Gonzalo Lovera who continues to lead the way for the Bike 500 team with 252 points. Demis Titcheler sits in second right now, ahead of Jack Brown, who was promoted up to those Pro-Ams. Of course, he has moved up towards that fight towards the top. I'm sure Jack Brown will continue to hunt down his first Pro-Am victory of the season. Fraser Garrity sits in 4th position, just a few points clear of Paul Hurley. JB Deshay, unable to race last week. He's back in the car tonight and will be looking to try and move back up the order towards the front. He's taken 1 win, of course, so far in class this season. Alan McCain sits in 7th position ahead of Luke Woodhouse. Lucas Henschel, the amateur champion from last season, sits in 9th, and Craig Rolters currently holding on to the top 10 in the Pro-Am standings. Stuart Gibbons sits in 11th, and Kevin Marshall-Say in 12th. It is going to be interesting tonight as drivers head around to see what they can do in that championship. And finally, the AM Championship. It is not a good night for AM drivers. Thomas Coombe has been having some connectivity issues, so may not be able to race tonight, which will be a shame for the man who is leading the championship by just 5 points ahead of fellow sister teammate Jeff Saunders, both of them racing for the JC Academy team. Torben Mayo sits in 3rd position in that one, ahead of Ben Gibbons. Gibbons tied on points with Vigard Olsen-Leia, who took the win in race number 1 last week. Could have taken the double. Unfortunately, getting caught up in that accident means that he wasn't able to maximise his points out of Long Beach. Yannick runs in 6th position ahead of Scott Malcolm, just a point separate them. Chris London sits in 8th, there Andy Littler. James Brown in 10th position right now. Chesney Vandenbroek, Nathan Hardcastle and Aaron Matthews we're yet to see take to the track. Now, I have to say, for Scott Malcolm, can we just say here tonight, as qualifying's about to begin, Scott Malcolm is racing out there with broken fingers after getting involved in a little bit of an incident during a football match. A goalkeeper is always a dangerous role for your fingers, but he is out there giving it a go, so good luck to him. Now, as drivers do head out, I've got my trusty track map in front of me. I've got my stats as well, so we're going to keep up to date as best as we can to make sure we know what is going on. All of our drivers, as you can see here, heading out of pit lane. It is hectic, so hectic, in fact, there's already been a pile-up out of pit lane, and we got to be careful on that one now, because these penalty systems, they still apply in a qualifying session as well. I'm sure with that little bit of a gaggle there, it's not going to matter too much, but drivers need to make sure that they are being sensible all the way through each of the sessions, as well as drivers are heading around then on their outlaps. So let's get down onto the circuit and see who we can find lapping around out there if we can. And it looks like I have actually lost my hotkeys, which is fantastic. We're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way while I try to figure out why I have lost my hotkeys. Here we go. We are watching Arthur Thurtle head around here as I am going to do this again and get ourselves all loaded up to make sure. I do apologise. There we go. As I need to make sure that we've got all of our hotkeys, because otherwise this is going to be a very difficult broadcast to do. Right, as we have a watch at Arthur Thurtle, he is coming on to his first time lap of this session. 15 minutes in qualifying, of course, for our drivers to be able to get some times onto the board. The first laps here, they are valid laps on the board. Even after coming out of pit lane, our drivers have just got to find out what is going on. And I'm trying to find out what is going on here and why my hotkeys are not working, because that is a real issue if I cannot get this working. We will have a look here then. Times are going to be already on the board here. There they are to your left-hand side. The times are up on the board, and we are go, as drivers will try to do the best that they can. These initial lap times, of course, they are not lap times that are representative. They are outlap lap times, as Thurtle has some issues there. We will see if we can get across to another person and see if we can get some of our hotkeys working. We still cannot, as we watch Craig Walters now heading around and putting in a lap time in the SRL blue machine, trying to figure out what he can do in this session. Delmont does put in a representative lap time there, a 15.006, as Jack Boulton goes second fastest in this one. I'm going to have a little look here to see if I can get anything working at all. I certainly cannot, which is a big, big issue. As we continue to watch them head around. It looks like actually all of my hotkeys are not working, even on my controller. I think it is an overlay issue, so we are going to reload our overlays here to try and figure out if we can get this one sorted. Right, we continue to watch around then to see what our drivers can do in this qualifying session and get their times onto the board as we head through. It is currently looking at the number 007 machine in that SRL blue to see what we can do. Quite a short lap around here, of course. It is exactly 2 miles long as our drivers continue to run around the Summit Point circuits, and it is a circuit which a lot of iRacers will be familiar with, because it is one in which our drivers get to go on quite a lot in official races, but in a lot of categories, being a free circuit. For some reason, it is not working with hotkeys, so I am going to have to do this all manually today. So I do apologise if it is a little bit more clunky than usual. I don't know why this is occurring. I have never had this happen before, to the point where I'm actually going to look at restarting some of my software again. Now, we are watching Craig Walters here, but let me get my timing screen up once more, because you can see on the left-hand side just how close it is between individual drivers. Let's have a look at their overall gaps, though, to see how the whole field is spread right now. And at the moment, Anthony Lammer is the man on purple out at the very front of the field. Here he is, running around in his machine, trying to see what the number 7 can do. If Lammer is able to get it on pole, it'll be the first time this season. Of course, Jack Boulton has managed to get 2 of the 3 pole positions so far this season. Boulton not here today. Dan Mould is the other driver to get a pole. He managed to do that last week at Long Beach, but he did not manage to convert that into a race victory. Will we see another driver find their way to the front here today and get this one to pole position? Let's wait and find out, and let's see if I have got this working with a restart. I certainly have not. This is the weirdest thing I have ever experienced. I don't know why this is going on. As we continue to have a look at our drivers putting in lap times, let's see what some of our drivers towards the rear of the field have been able to do at the moment. Do you know what? Our AM drivers are doing quite well at the moment. One of those being Vegard Olsen-Leah. Vegard Olsen-Leah, of course, taking a victory last week in race number 1. Could have made it the double. Can he make it the double here tonight? It was only 1 amateur victory last season, hunting already for more this season as we continue around the Summit Point circuit and seeing what we are able to do with this one and what I am able to do with trying to get everything up and working in the background here. But 8 minutes left on the clock at the moment as our drivers continue to head around. As we watch Alan McCain now, he sits 8th in class as it stands, looking to try and do something with this and improve up the order. Okay, I have got working hotkeys, but not through my system, unfortunately, which means it is an issue with my system and not the overlays. So I'm going to give this one last boot in the bottom to try again. And if it doesn't work, then we will give up on the hotkey system today and we will go fully manual. Sometimes you have to do it. We throw ourselves back into history sometimes in these broadcasts as well. They have technical issues down on the track. We have technical issues in the booth occasionally as well. So we'll get this going one last time and see if we are just able to make my hotkeys work as we get that system loaded. Let's have a little look at the front because Arthur Thurtle has just gone fastest in second. Now this is quite a close qualifying at the top there. Half a tenth of a second separating Lammer, Thurtle and Delmont. They are all pushing to get their inaugural poles. Delmont's been down pit lane. It is a circuit in which you can jump down pit lane, get a new fresh set of tyres, have your fuel tank a little bit emptier so that you can get around and put in a nice quick lap time. It is a very short circuit, a very fast circuit with just over a minute to get around the lap, which means that actually those pit stops getting into pit lane doesn't really impact you too much when you're trying to find time out there. Let's see, one last turn, and no, nothing is working, which is a real shame. I'm going to have to turn off all of these and go for a manual broadcast tonight. So again, I do apologise if we get a little bit funkier with my camera angles than I normally do, because I'm normally trying to get us some views through my hotkeys, and it looks like we aren't going to get that chance. So Alan McCain continues to head around at the moment in 10th position. Let's go have a look at Arthur Thurtle though, because he has just let McCain through to try and get started on another lap here, and we are going to oh, this is a new shot. I've hit one that I didn't know that we even had. Now I've got to figure out what the names are to all of my things, because I always run a different one. We're riding on board with Arthur Thurtle here, and I think it might be that one. There we go, as we head through turn number 1. This little kink, technically turn number 2 here. It is a very thin piece of racetrack, as you can see, but we definitely will be able to go side by side around most of it. A little bit of gravel being kicked up from drivers up ahead there. Thurtle touches the gravel ever so slightly himself. This is the first time, of course, that Thurtle is down there in the altitude team alongside Andrew Lovesey, but Lovesey is not out there himself tonight. Eventually we'll get both the altitude drivers onto the track together for the first time as teammates this season, but we will have to wait until round number 5, until that happens as we come through turn number 9, as we had that carousel at the end of the lap, and now it is full throttle all the way up towards turn number 10. You're going to want to lay this corner up well, get a good exit here, carry the speed out of turn 10 and up towards timing line. Across the timing line will come Arthur Thurtle to see what he places on the board. Will it go faster than Anthony Lammer? No, 2 tenths slower. That time around will not find the time at the moment. Craig Walters sits 14th position overall, 5th in class right now, still looking to find time. Jack Brown, he's in the Pro-Am machine, and he is running faster than any of the semi-pros right now as well. Of course, the Pro-Am field getting split in 2 for season number 10 into that semi-pro and Pro-Am class, which means that we do have 4 classes out there. All of them competing for overall positions. They get their points from their overall positions, but they are fighting in their own individual championship standings. There's Jack Brown in the middle of a lot of drivers there, including the fastest man in the semi-pro championship. That's Carl Hardy in the Result Clothing machine, looking to try and move up a little bit faster and get ahead of Jack Brown, who is currently sitting in just in front of him on the timing sheets and on the circuit as well. Our amateur leader is Vigard Olsen-Leah, but with some broken fingers, it's not slowing Scott Malcolm down here. He is chasing down Vigard Olsen-Leah for that pole position in class, which would be 26th place overall. So Scott Malcolm currently 27th place overall. Some Pro-Ams finding it tricky to get their laps together around this circuit. We've got Fraser Garrity, Lucas Henschel, Gonzalo Lovera, the championship leader of the Pro-Am field, all currently struggling to get in a quick and valid lap around the Summit Point circuit. Let's have a watch here of Gonzalo Lovera and see what he is able to do on what will be his 10th lap, and it's not a good run for him at all. Into turn number 1, major issues onto the brakes, and then it runs it wide and hits that wall as we watch Logan McKenzie here sitting 19th overall. It is 9th in class, but there are a lot of Pro-Ams and semi-pros between himself and that top gaggle of 4 pro drivers, which looks like is going to be won out by Anthony Lammer. But with 1.5 minutes still on the clock here, can Arthur Thurtle manage to find his way past Anthony Lammer? The gap between Lammer and Thurtle back, he's not going to improve, but Adam Delmont could here. Thurtle, 21 hundredths of a second behind Lammer. Delmont, 21 hundredths of a second behind Delmont. It's 40, behind Lammer. It is 42 hundredths of a second separating Lammer, Thurtle and Delmont here. What are they going to be able to do? Can Adam Delmont find his way to the front of the field in qualifying? He's taken 2 wins so far this season. Jack Boulton is the other driver to have taken 2 wins. Delmont leads the Pro Championship. Can he lead the field in qualifying? We head up towards the timing line for Adam Delmont. It's a 14.693 to beat. It's a 14.754. It is 2 hundredths of a second slower than his previous fastest lap. Jack Brown is doing a great job in that Pro-Am field to put himself ahead of the rest of the Pro-Ams, but also all of the semi-pros. Will it be an improvement on that lap? It's 2 tenths of a second slower for him on that one. As John Brown's out in the pit lane. Logan McKenzie's just mining out of the way here. Most drivers are finishing with their laps, and what that means then, as the session comes to a close, we are going to find our way to the grid for the first time tonight. for 20 minutes of racing action. Let's have a look then at how the grid is going to line up here as we get ourselves sorted. So, Anthony Lammer is going to start this one from pole position ahead of Arthur Thurtle. Adam Delmont is going to start from third ahead of Dan Mould. Jack Brown will be in fifth position, and Carl Hardy will start in sixth. Seventh will go the way of Daniel Downing. Stuart Gibbons will start this one in eighth ahead of Kim Borkland. John Brown will round out the top 10. Alan McCain in 11th, and Luke Woodhouse will start in 12th. Luciano Espinel will start in 13th position ahead of Craig Walters. Ronald de Jong will start in 15th ahead of Will Lyon. Tom Woodcock will start in 17th position, and Logan McKenzie in 18th. Jaden Scotton will start in 19th ahead of Demis Titchler. Stephen Fry will start in 21st, and Daniel Lewis in 22nd. Torburn Mayle found a lap time towards the end to place himself on the amateur pole in 23rd position ahead of Kev Aylett. Paul Hurley will start in 25th ahead of JB Dejay. Vigard Olsen-Leah will start in 27th ahead of Scott Malcolm. Kevin Marshall-Stay will start in 29th, and Mark Draper in 30th place. Ben Gibbons will start in 31st ahead of Fraser Garrity. Jeff Saunders in 33rd position. Chris London in 34th. Andy Littler in 35th. And Lucas Henschel will start in 36th position. Gonzalo Lovera could not get a lap time together for the Pro-Am Championship leader. Will start in 37th ahead of Thomas Coombe and Deck Crowther. Coombe is looking like he's going to be able to start this one after potentially having to back out of the first round for him this season. But the Amateur Championship leader is in it, and is in it to try and find his way further up the field. Currently at the back of the amateur field for Thomas Coombe. But we are gridding then for the first of two races tonight. 20 minutes is on the board. That'll be about 17 laps around here. Lammer will be starting this one from pole ahead of Arthur Thurtle. And we are away here. Off of the line. And immediately drivers are going to go defensive as we head up towards turn number 1. It is 2 by 2 as they try to find their way through. Delmont looks to the outside. Got his teammate directly behind him there. But it looks like we are going to remain mostly clean into turn 1. A little bit of nudging, but drivers get through and everyone is facing the right way as it looks like a massive accident in the background, and Jack Brown's off as well. But a car just went flipping out of turn 2. Drivers scattering to see if they can find any way through here and avoid the instance as drivers fall down the order, climb up the order, and someone into the wall in the background as well there. And that looks like major damage on a number of cars, including Andy Littler. There might be some suspension damage potentially there as we come off of the opening lap of this race. As we head up now towards the final turn here, it is Jaden Scotton chasing down Logan McKenzie. We come through the final turn. It's side by side behind, as well as Demis Titchler leads Jack Brown, who's now in a 3 wide with Carl Hardy and Daniel Lewis as we come up towards turn number 1. It is 3 wide in the midfield as Jack Brown just continues to fall down the order from what was an extremely strong qualifying position. He has been unable to replicate it in the opening lap of the race, and I believe the opening lap accident was from JB Dejay as well. And I'll see if we are able to get a replay of JB Dejay going off there, but we continue to watch as drivers struggle to get around this circuit on the opening lap of the race, as this was JB Dejay in the background from the start then. It looks like it was him that went off the track in the background as we head up towards turn number 1. You can see his cars absolutely scattered to try and get through cleanly. What happened here on the exit? Was it contact from behind, potentially. It was the 226, gets together with the J, and he just goes flying through the air there as Deshay just caught on to Vigard Olsen Leah and just had nowhere to control that car up the banking, fortunately out of the way of anyone else. But some major issues there as we jump back into the semi-pro class here, because there are still side-by-side battles occurring as we watch Carl Hardy side-by-side with Daniel Lewis here. Is 3 wide behind as well, with Aylett getting ahead of Woodhouse as they sort themselves out. It is a very tight field. Paul Hurley into the wall, gets it back going again, and it looks like that's Lovera off as well, and Marshall say has had some issues. What's happened here? It looks like some major contact going into 4. Yep, it's 4. The round goes about. That was where we saw that initial contact, and then it's teammate on teammate action in the Lumen Motorsports there. That took them both down the field. As we jump back up towards the front of the field then, and we see that Anthony Lammer holds on to the lead. The top 4 in your race unchanged. Dan Moll dropping back a little bit from your fight at the very front of the field, being led by Lammer, Thurtle and Delmont here. As we continue to have a little bit of a look further back. Jaden Scotton in 9th position here, running around on the rear end of a train of drivers, trying to see what they are able to do in moving up the field if it is possible. It is extremely tight around here, so anything and everything can and will certainly happen as drivers continue to sort themselves out and see what they can do around the circuit. Now we've got Adam Delmont all over the rear of Arthur Thurtle. I'm looking at all the gaps that we've got out there. This is the closest one here. Can Delmont potentially do something here? As I apologise, we do not want that. He looks to the right-hand side, looks to get on the inside of Thurtle. Thurtle manages to hold on to 2nd position right now, and Delmont though looking thirsty for this 2nd place. Lammer and Thurtle are hunting down wins. Lammer for the first time this season, Thurtle not for the first time this season, looking to try and do something more with that, as we've lost overlays. As we know, we're having technical issues here tonight, and we've just lost them all. Excellent. We continue to watch this 4-car fight here to see if something can be done within this fight, and hopefully we'll get you overlays back in a moment, because I've actually lost all controls of the sim without the overlays up, so we will have to continue watching this fight. But we do continue to see Lammer pulling away at the front of this field. Lammer has been caught up in a number of unfortunate incidents throughout the last few seasons, so it's nice to see that he's out at the front here. Can he remain nice and clean out the front without getting involved in too many problems? That is going to be the question here on everyone's mind. It is certainly on my mind, and we looks like we've got our overlays back here. We certainly have, as we continue to watch this fight. There we go. There's a change behind as Will Lyon moves past Stuart Gibbons. Gibbons leading the Pro-Am field right now, and has a couple of cars between himself and Craig Walters, as that was Espinera looking to get up the inside. It's side by side behind as well, as McCain looks to try and get to the inside of Jaden Scotton as we head up towards through turn number 4, up towards turn number 5, as it's right onto the back there for McCain. A little bit of a nudge, looking to try and get up into 13th position overall. They are running separate classes, but they take their points from their overall races, of course. And that is a shame for Vigard Olsen Leah, who is down and out of this race after early contact with JB Deshay as well. Deshay, of course, going out early doors with that flip on the exit of turn number 1. Luke Woodhouse is doing a great job right now, holding on to 23rd position in this race, as Stephen Fry is fighting with Alan McCain now after McCain's attempt on Scotton. He comes under attack from Dan Mould's teammate in the SRL Rosso machine, looks to the inside there, able to hold it, and Ronald de Jong now looking to try and get past the Pro-Am driver as well. As we continue to head around here, let's get our gaps changed for intervals so we can see how close each of our individual drivers are out there as they continue their races for individual race results, but also the championships. Those points really do mean everything, especially as we head up towards the halfway point in this season. The championship leader of your pros and your overalls is Adam Delmont. He is still on the rear of Arthur Thurtle here. He is looking to get those bonus points for the fastest lap of the race, but looking to see if he can get his way past Arthur Thurtle and potentially chase down Anthony Lammer, who took his first pole position of the season here at Summit Point, and will be looking to try and take his first win of the season there as well. Woodcock having a bit of a lonely race towards the back of the field, but here in the midfield it is still going on hard as Jack Brown is trying to find his way back up the order after starting this one overall inside the top 5. He is down to 17th place at the moment and looking to try and move up the order. Brown all over the rear of Ronald de Jong. De Jong behind McCain as well. McCain has had to let Stephen Fry go, and Fry has just pulled away from this fighting train. Behind us, Brown, a little bit of a wider line there through 4, looking to maybe try to get to the inside of 5 and into the carousel. Does not work out there. Slightly different lines. That's the great thing about the carousel. You can run it in all different lines, all different angles there, not changing positions, but certainly allowing de Jong to get onto the back of McCain, and it stresses McCain out. McCain onto the grass in an unforced error there, and here comes Jack Brown to try and get to the inside. Through the final turn they go, and that is going to be a drag race to the line now with Brown and McCain side by side. They are both in the Pro-Am fields. Not only is it a fight for overall position, it is a fight within the championship as well. A little bit of a nudge there, slight movement on the wheel from McCain. McCain now under attack from Titchler, who's also looking to move up the order in the Pro-Am field. This fight for the bottom of the podium now being led by Jack Brown. McCain ahead of Titchler, but is closely under attack as Adam Delmont has made his way past Arthur Thurtle for second position. We saw it in the distance as we were watching that fight behind, as he looked to the inside of turn 1, and Thurtle just had to leave that door open. It was too late for him to do anything about it. Delmont makes his way through, but Thurtle surely will be looking to try and do something back at him. Delmont, however, has put the power down and is continuing to chase towards Anthony Lammer and trying to move back up the field here in this one to see if there's anything that he is able to do as they head around the circuit through turn number 1, continuing to watch Adam Delmont at the moment as we now head through into turn number 3. This chase currently being the 4 cars at the front. It is a big possibility that we could continue to see them fight all the way to the end here, potentially having some drivers really fight their way towards the very front of the field to battle for first wins. Dan Mould looking for a second win. Thurtle and Delmont looking for multiple wins. But Anthony Lammer, the man at the very front right now, looking for his first win of the season. Will he be able to do it is the question. Right, we continue to look at this is Craig Walters right now. Walters is running around second in class and 11th overall. He is doing a great job. He's keeping Logan McKinsey behind him as it stands. As they continue to run around the laps as well at the moment. Just behind you've got this fight between Titchler and McCain as well, but now Titchler is under attack from Carl Hardy. Potentially an opportunity here for Hardy to make a move through. Torben Mail holding 20th overall in the M cars, just behind with a lead, with a gap, gaggle behind him, but here comes Carl Hardy on the inside of Demis Titchler, as they run side by side on this one up towards turn number 3. Titchler's going to be to the inside of Carl Hardy, is able to make that overtake and get that position done. So Carl Hardy is going to have to wait behind once more in this fight right now. They continue on. As they continue, there is another fight continuing, and that is the fight of Kev Aylett behind. He is trying to chase down fellow semi-pro driver of Daniel Lewis. However, just ahead of them, as that is Andy Littler off the circuit behind. Just ahead of them, though, is Torben Mail. Mail doing a great job right now to keep these semi-pro and pro-am drivers behind. Littler waits around off the circuit and now has a penalty to deal with as well, with about 5 minutes left on the clock. Adam Delmont has managed to make his way all the way up towards the rear end of the race lead, and Anthony Lammer here as we head on to the brakes of turn number 5. It's heavy on the brakes there, looking to see what they can do in this one, as Adam Delmont looking to try and take his 3rd win of the season. His first one is at round number 1, race number 1 at Jerez. He managed to do it again at race number 1 last week at Long Beach. Can he do it here at race number 1 yet again? That is going to be the question as we watch these drivers continuing to head around and seeing what they can do as we go across the timing line. Delmont chasing down Lammer, 2/10 between them. Mould is on the rear end of Thurtle, just behind as well, as Delmont looks towards the outside as he ducks to the inside as we continue to have problems with our overlays, which have now frozen. I do apologise. It is Delmont to the inside of Lammer in this fight. He pulls back across there to see if he is able to make his way through. He is unable to make that move as it stands. We continue to head around the circuit as Delmont ducks to the outside of turn number 5, looking to get that switch back across. Can't do anything with it at the moment through turn number 6. This fight for the lead is not the only fight going on out there at the moment, but it is one for a lead in a class and the overall race. Daniel Downing holding on to the semi-pro lead. Stuart Gibbons holding on to the pro-am lead, and Torben Mail holding on to the am lead, all without issues at the moment. It's the overall race lead that is currently coming under attack. 3rd position could be under attack shortly as well, as we continue to try and sort out our overlays, which like to keep on braking in this race. Delmont goes to the outside of Anthony Lammer. Is it going to be a switchback move? It looks like that's the intention. Lammer knew what was coming, just kept it tight enough to keep Delmont at bay through turn 2. Up to turn 3 though, and Delmont is of Anthony Lammer here, pushing hard on the rear end. Moves to the left-hand side of the circuit, up towards turn number 4. It's a little bit of a nudge there. Delmont just avoids the grass, and he continues to push hard. Anthony Lammer, the Frenchman, is looking to try and take his first win of the season. The 3 drivers behind have all won a race so far this season, with Thurtle and Mould looking for their 2nd. Delmont looking for his 3rd. We come through turn number 9 and up towards the end of the lap right now as we watch this 4-car fight for the lead, because Lammer and Delmont's fighting has brought Thurtle and Mould back into the fray. That's Daniel Downing, 2.5 seconds down the road. The semi-pro leader right now, ahead of more pro drivers, Balkland and Lyon. It remains single file into turn 1. In this fight at the moment, it is not over with our 4 leaders. Not only is the race at play, all podium positions are at play right now, and there is going to be one of these 4 missing out on it, and right now that is falling down to Dan Mould, who is pulled his way back towards the front fight, but needs to get himself properly involved. Again, different lines from all of our drivers through turn number 5 there into the carousel of 6 and 7 as Delmont looks to get to the inside line. A little bit of a nudge there as he continues to push the rear bumper as the circuit switches back to the left, back to the right again as we come out of turn number 9 and up towards the penultimate the final corner for the final lap of asking, as we are looking to go on to the white flag lap, and this is going to be Delmont's chance to the outside. Anthony Lammer goes to fences as the white flag is waved in the air up towards turn number 1. Lammer on the inside, Delmont on the outside here as we get through the first turn and up towards turn number 3, and it is going to switch the way of Adam Delmont after leading every lap of the race. Lammer falls to second. Could he be under attack from Arthur Thurtle here as Thurtle gets his nose in? There's contact, and Lammer heavy into the wall has led all race long, but Anthony Lammer falls at the final hurdle after contact with Arthur Thurtle. And that is a shame for the man who has had bad luck throughout his history in this league. It continues tonight, but Adam Delmont did it cleanly. Adam Delmont found the overtake before the accident, and Adam Delmont will take his 3rd win of the season ahead of Thurtle and Mould. Daniel Downing will win the semi-pro field. And Craig Walters, can he keep Jack Brown behind? A drag race to the line, but Craig Walters beats out Jack Brown and Stuart Gibbons to the line in the fight for the Pro-Am podium. And Torburn Mail crosses the line to win the amateur class. And race number 1 is coming to a close here as we finish up around the Summit Point circuit. Race 2 coming your way in a moment. But before we get all of that, let's see if we can get our results from that race as I try to battle with all of the issues that we continue to have here on our broadcast. Right, let's get the results here then after race number 1, and it was Adam Delmont who won in the end ahead of Arthur Thurtle. Dan Mould taking the overall and pro podium in 3rd. Daniel Downing winning the semi-pro field ahead of Kim Andre. Balkland Will Lyon finished this one in 6th ahead of John Brown. Logan McKenzie came across the line in 8th ahead of Luciano Espinera and Jaden Scotton. We then had Craig Walters in 11th, Jack Brown in 12th, and Stuart Gibbons in 13th position. 14th went away as Stephen Fry. Ronald de Jong in 15th ahead of Alan McCain. Cole Hardy came home in 17th ahead of Dennis Titchler. 19th was Luke Woodhouse, and Torburn Mail in 20th position. 21st was for Kev Aylett ahead of Daniel Lewis. Fraser Garrity came home in 23rd ahead of Mark Japper. Scott Malcolm came home 25th ahead of Gonzalo Lovera. Paul Hurley in 27th. Lucas Henschel in 28th, followed by Vigard Olsen-Leah and Chris London. Anthony Lammer came home in 31st in the end, DNFing on the final lap of the race. Kevin Marshall-Hasse coming home in 32nd ahead of Tom Woodcock. Jeff Saunders came home in 34th position. JB Deshay, having the accident on the opening lap of the race, came home a lap down with Dec Crowther. Andy Littler also a lap down with Ben Gibbons, and Thomas Coombe, issues for him with connection. We said that he was having issues before, and that came to fruition. He retired from race number 1. Right, whilst we try to sort some of our broadcasting issues out here, we are going to take a momentary break instead of our usual post-race interviews. We do apologise for that, but we will grab some post-race interviews after race number 2. We will be back in a moment's time for race number 2. Don't go anywhere. And we are back here. Hello. And we have got just enough time, actually, to have a pull down if we have enough. We do have enough time. Can I manage to do it? Because there are so many drivers in here that I'm trying to move drivers. Move to. Here we go. Right. As we are just going to have a quick word here with the man who came home in winning that race, Adam Delmont. It took you all the way until the last lap of asking, but you managed to take the win when it mattered. How'd that race go for you?
Good evening, Joseph. Yeah, it went good, mate. Qualifying, I don't know. I seem to just be struggling in qualifying at minute. I seem to have a load of pace in practice, and then it ticks into qualifying, and I just seem to just drop a couple of tenths every round. It's becoming a bit of a theme, and then give myself a bit of a harder job to do in the race. But you know, I think, is this my second, third race 1 win? So clearly qualifying's not the be all and end all, but you know, I could make myself my job a little easier if I could just, I don't know, rein myself in qualifying and find out what I'm doing.
Because it is your 3rd race win of the season, all of them coming in race 1. Well, that does mean is you will be starting race 2 from 15th. How are you feeling around this circuit, moving your way through?
It's quite a hard track to pass, to be fair. So, you know, my aim is if I can get to the top 5 or 6, I think that you know, gives me good stead to at least keep the points tallies coming in. You know, obviously it'd be nice to win the double, but realistically, aim for top 5, and anything above that's a bonus.
Right, well, I will let you get back to it then. Good luck in race number 2, Adam.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Adam Delmont there, winning race number 1 with that last lap contact behind him, of course. But let's get ourselves looking at the grid for race number 2, and that grid is going to be led by Ronald de Jong ahead of Stephen Fry. Stuart Gibbons is going to start this one in 3rd ahead of Jack Brown. We'll then see Craig Walters in 5th and Jaden Scotton in 6th. And good news, I've got my hotkeys working again. Luciano Espinera will start in 7th position here ahead of Logan McKenzie. John Brown in 9th. With Will Lyon on starting this one in 10th. Borkland from 11th and Daniel Downing in 12th position. We'll then see Dan Mould starting this one in 13th out of Arthur Thurtle and Adam Delmont from 15th. The rest of your grid as it goes by will be the order of the race 1 results, which means that we will see Torban Mail in that amateur field starting this one in 20th position overall, and looking to do something is that and seeing if he can repeat his race 1 victory. Now we are getting started, and as you can see, we've all got everything working as well as we've now got the all of our stuff working properly, which is always nice when you are sat in the broadcast booth and you're able to just take that couple of minutes to fix the issue. And it means that race number 2 is going to come your way, and it is going to come your way with full hotkeys, which means it's going to be much better quality than race number 1, so I apologise for those issues, of course. What we did get was Deck Crowther finishing race number 1, albeit a lap down. It was within 75% of the race distance, which means that those points are where he is going to drop 10% of them, which aren't going to be too many for him anyway, so it won't be too severe of an impact for Crowther's championship points tally out of race number 1. However, drivers then are going to be gridded up for this second race of the day. 25 minutes on the board. We're looking at about 21 laps of racing action. Does that look like Ronald de Jong creeping off the start line there? Was it a jump start? It was a jump start from Ronald de Jong, who will take that pole position and shove it into the pit lane at the end of the opening lap. So will Fraser Geraghty, who has also got a jump start penalty off the line here. Drivers try to get themselves started, including Adam Delmont and Arthur Thurtle here. 14th and 15th position side by side, bumping already through turn number 1 and through 3. It's sideways for Will Lyon. Goes into the gravel. That was, I believe, one of the SRL Green Machines, maybe John Brown, as again, it is drivers just trying to get their way through the opening lap. Carl Hardy goes sideways in that one as well, gets himself facing forward. Driver behind in the background as well. More contact through. Again, it is like Long Beach in it is a very tight circuit. It just has a lot of cars washing off of the track instead of causing pile-ups in the middle. Jack Brown looking to try and take advantage of the inverted grid here. Not the best of race 1s from a fantastic qualifying. Can he turn this into a great result at the end of race number 2? Currently getting pushed by Stuart Gibbons, but Brown does lead the Pro-Am field. De Jong has not jumped down pit lane yet. He has 3 laps to serve that penalty, of course, as this is Luciano Espinera, the leader of the Pro Championship, trying to get around the outside of Craig Walters, trying to avoid any instance as he moves his way through the field here, gets it sorted, and Luciano Espinera does make his way through there. Lucas Henschel was the other driver we saw going sideways through turn number 4. He's fallen behind Dejay here and looking to recover. Lots of cars going into the wall. Hugh Jackson there as they all get thrown back on track, but it looks like it has cleared. That was Jack Brown involved in that one. How has it happened? It's a slide ahead there. Where was Jack Brown? Let's see if we can figure this out. Oh, it's contact there with the SRL Blue Machine of Walters. What's happened? It's 3 wide. It's a knock from the JC Cooley car, and there's nothing those 2 drivers can do. Just a big whack onto the inside there. Will we see de Jong down pit lane this time? No. De Jong stays out as Stephen Fry goes purple in the semi-pro machine. Stuart Gibbons now leads the Pro-Am field with 10 cars between himself and Alan McCain, second in class. with 9 of those 10 cars being pro drivers. Adam Delmont and Will Lyon looking like they are trying to fight it out between themselves as there's more contact, and that's Jaden Scotton. Sideways and hit there for Scotton. How did that occur? It's contact with Borkland, and then Scotton just parks it. That secondary contact was completely unnecessary because Scotton just parked it on the racing line when his car could clearly have moved out of the way. That is a shame for, I'm not too sure who it was that hit. Of course, both the SRL blemishes. I think it was Fraser Geraghty because Walters had already gone down and out. I think it was potentially Geraghty as De Jong finally jumps down pit lane, probably just waiting for the accidents behind to clear themselves before he got himself into the middle of it. De Jong rejoins in 12th position, falling 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th behind Kev Aylett, but does avoid obviously all of those accidents that were occurring in that fight, as that was McCain slightly wide through turn number 1 as well as we watch them come up to turn 3. That is a very damaged Dan Mould leading this train of drivers in 9th position. I'm not sure what contact Mould found himself in, but it has led to issues as that was McCain forced wide. Well, I'll do an unforced Woodhouse, and then Woodhouse hits him anyway. What happened to Woodhouse there? Because Woodhouse is just touched by Demis Titchler, and it sends him off, and contact there as well, which means Woodhouse is now dealing with damage in this race as we head through. The first 5 minutes of the race completed, 20 minutes still on the board. I'll mind all of you out there that are watching for a repeated time. Also, for the first time, penalties were introduced after Long Beach drivers now having to deal with incidents being reported and those penalty points being applied for accidents. There were a number of penalties applied last week, with over 40 penalty points in total being deducted from drivers. I'm expecting some more penalty points across the 2 races tonight, which is a real shame, but drivers will quickly get to grips with that penalty system, and hopefully we will see some of these incidents cool off a little bit. Of course, from the broadcast booth and from a racing fan perspective, it does create the excitement that we know and love out there. However, it also does mean frustration for drivers as well, and sometimes it's the racing that's better than anything else, and we can see some close racing. Hopefully it'll go the way for Vigard Olsen Leah in this second race. Mail obviously taking the win in the first race and his first win of the season in that AM class. Leah finding his way towards the back of the field in the AMs. However, in this reverse grid, not involved in the reverse of course, but has taken advantage off the start, up to 17th overall with all of the incidents that were occurring. Kev Aylett has done a good job to hold on to the semi-pro podium right now, but does have Ronald de Jong just up ahead of him, looking to try and take second in this one. Of course, the leader of that semi-pro field right now, leading the overall race, as Aylett gets so much speed on the outside there and just flies around de Jong. Stephen Fry's leading the overall race, leading the semi-pros as well, and doing a great job at it as they continue around here. Dan Mould looking to try and take another victory if possible, but that damage is probably going to stop that charge. Logan McKinsey on a hunt for a potential first win, as is Luciano Espinero, who is leading the pro field right now. Has about 2 seconds up towards Stephen Fry. Adam Delmont, though, looks to try and potentially get past Kim Borkland. Couldn't quite do it up towards the final turn, but he knows he has the speed here. He knows if he just is a little bit patient, he could find his way through and up into third in class, 4th overall. Looks to the inside of Kim Borkland, will stay behind once more, as that was Stuart Gibbons going deep the leader of the Pro-Am field, and allows Will Lyon through. That's Arthur Thurtle just behind as well. Thurtle not getting a good run through the field like Adam Delmont has been able to do in this one, as I look behind as well at other drivers that are in this race trying to pull through. If I'm not mistaken, we did not see Lammer enter race number 2 after that contact in race 1. No, Lammer did not get started in the second race of the evening, which is a real shame for the man that led all bar the last lap in race 1. And then the contact with Thurtle, of course. This is your midfield fight. It is a battle for second in your semi-pros, but it is being led by Gonzalo Lovera, who is leading your Pro-Am Championship, but third in the race right now in class. That's Carl Hardy looking to try to get to the inside of De Jong, potentially through turn number 10, but they continue to run in a single file line, as is the train of drivers ahead. Dan Mould just holding up Titchler and Mail behind. Titchler moves to the outside. Mail, which decide, is he going to try and stick with the outside or the inside, as it's side by side behind as well. Titchler makes that move on the outside as Ronald de Jong looks to try and get past Kev Aylett through turn number 1. Aylett holds on for second in class right now. Dan Mould is holding on to Titchler at the moment, but Titchler is able to keep it ahead up through turn 3. And Demis Titchler now up to 9th position overall ahead of the damaged Dan Mould, who is just trying to do anything to keep his car facing the right way and as much speed as he possibly can. De Jong did try to get past Aylett through turn 1. Will he have another opportunity here with Lovera just up ahead, chasing down? And that was Titchler off the circuit after making the move past Dan Mould, falls back behind again, and this is a daunting view in Dan Mould's mirror, knowing that he's got damage. That is a huge train chasing him down at the moment. Stephen Fry, can we just say the speed he is carrying right now in your semi-pro field, he is maintaining a 2-second advantage over Luciano Espinera here. Could he be the first non-pro overall race winner as we head up towards turn number 1? This is going to be Torburn Mail, the leader of the AM classes, inside the top 10 right now, looking to get 9th position. The amateur gets past the limping pro driver through turn number 2, up to 3 though, and Dan Mould is not letting that lie, but he has to give up the position as Mail pushes it hard through turn 3 and into 9th from the M driver. Thurtle gets past Gibbons as De Jong is still trying to potentially find a way past Kev Aylett here for second in class. 13.5 minutes remain on the board here as we come through turns 8 into 9. As you can see, Mould still looking to try and recover, finds the speed there. He just doesn't have the straight line speed, but he does have overlap to get to the inside of Torburn Mail here. There was a little bit of a nudge there, but definitely through net code. Mail goes onto the gravel, loses position down to 12th, 13th, as he is just tumbling with the fact that this field is so tightly packed in this midfield fight. But once again, it is Titchler to the front. Can he keep it on track this time? That was Carl Hardy, who had to slam on his brakes to avoid Mail ahead of him. Paul Hurley looked to try to get to the inside. Will have to back down in that one, as it looks like we may have just lost Gonzalo Lovera. It looks like we might be losing Gonzalo Lovera with some connectivity issues here, which would be a shame for the man who was P3 in the Pro-Ams and leading the Pro-Am Championship heading into tonight. Dan Mould, though, still out ahead as it stands, as we watch Kev Aylett holding on ahead of Ronald de Jong. Luciano Espinera could be under attack very, very shortly here, as he has the chasing Logan McKinsey and race 1 winner Adam Delmont behind. Delmont said that he was looking for a top 5 overall in this race. He's currently there in 4th, but he can see the lead as Stephen Fry goes through turn number 1. Delmont to the outside of McKenzie. Delmont also looking to try and take the bonus points from the fastest laps yet again here. Out of turn 1 and up through turn 2. Into turn 3 we go, riding on board with Adam Delmont. Will Lyon and Arthur Thurtle aren't too far behind. Neither is Kim Borkland, and Stuart Gibbons is keeping on to the rear of this field in the Pro-Am machines, holding on to the lead of the Pro-Am field right now. 11.5 minutes left to go as Adam Delmont sits on the rear end of Logan McKenzie. This is a huge train of drivers. We sit on board with Stuart Gibbons, who can see all of the pros in front of him, and just in the distance there heading through turn 9 was the leader of the race, Stephen Fry, in your semi-pro field. 11 minutes remaining here as we head on to about 9 more laps of asking. Through turn 10 on board with Stuart Gibbons here of Blade Designs leading that Pro-Am field. Are we going to see a fight up at the front? Can Delmont dispatch McKenzie here, or can they work together to catch up to Espinera? Will Espinera be able to close that 2-second gap that Fry has held consistently now for the past 8 laps or so? Through into turn number 3, Delmont keeps on to the rear of McKenzie. Doesn't look too aggressive with the overtaking at the moment. Will he look to make the move, or will he look to stay behind, as we're side by side once more with Aylett and De Jong. Aylett's to the inside of 3. De Jong tried to keep that tighter line, just couldn't quite do it. They're still chasing that damaged Dan Mould just ahead. Titular's pulled almost a 2-second lead from this train of drivers that is stuck behind Dan Mould at the moment, and this is the fight for the semi-pro podium. Aylett, De Jong and Hardy looking for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Torburn Mayle is no longer comfortably leading the amateur lead. There is Mayle, and there is Vigard Olsen Lear, the 2 teammates, 1st and 2nd, both of them on the hunt for their 2nd class wins of the season, as Delmont's to the outside of McKenzie. Into turn 1, tried to get the switch back, but McKenzie slowed it down enough on the racing line that Delmont tried to turn in. There was slight contact, lights flashing there, but there was nothing that McKenzie did wrong there. Delmont just trying to get into the head of Logan McKenzie. McKenzie holding on to the overall podium right now, still about a 2nd behind Espinera, and Fry is just 9 minutes away from not only his 2nd semi-pro win of the season after winning race 2 last week. It'll be his 1st overall victory and the 1st non-pro overall victory of the season. Adam Delmont, is he going to push McKenzie or overtake? He looks to the inside through turn 10. There is a nudge there, but Delmont definitely had an overlap in that move, and that means Will Lyon moves up into 4th position in his Audi. Lights flashing. Delmont goes defensive. He's now 1.5 seconds behind Espinera, but he is clear ahead. Can he find that pace to try and catch up to Luciano Espinera and make a potential overtake for 2nd in this race and hunt down that 2-second gap to Stephen Fry, who has just remained untouchable in this race so far, running around in his Honda? There he is, Dan Mould's teammate, looking to try and take the 2nd overall win of SRL Rosso this season. Dan Mould getting a win at Motegi Race 1. It's the only time the number 1 machine has found his way to the front of the standings this season. Can his teammate Stephen Fry replicate him here, and doing it in the 2nd fastest class, that semi-pro field? Of course, no differences in the cars they drive, classes separated based on skill and previous experience in the championship and results. Of course, when he first stepped into the championship last season in Season 9, he was put in the AM field. He was quickly promoted to the Pro-Ams, and when the Pro-Ams was split into the Semi-Pros and Pro-Ams, he has been put into the Semi-Pros, and you can see why. I would not be surprised if in Season 11, Stephen Fry will find himself in that Pro field, as that was Stuart Gibbons. Currently, right now, chasing down Borkland, because Borkland was looking to try and get past Arthur Thurtle. Some wobbles, some moves, couldn't quite do it, doing some alternate racing lines here, but you can just see Borkland getting all over the rear of Thurtle, but just not able to make that overtake as it stands. Adam Delmont has closed the gap to Luciano Espinera, down to 0.3 per second here. Could get this overtaking done before turn number 1, or into turn number 1 of lap 16. We're looking at about 5 more laps of racing action here. Delmont needs to close 2.5 seconds to Stephen Fry. Right now, his best lap time is only 0.4 quicker than Fry, but what are they running now? Delmont crosses the line, pushes in a purple, and ran 0.4 of a second quicker last lap, which with 5 laps on the board would take 2 seconds out of Fry. This is going to be a close one towards the end of the race, but Adam Delmont moves into the lead of the Pro field, second overall, and is now on the charge to try and chase down Stephen Fry. This train of drivers, however, is not giving up yet. Our Pro drivers stretching down to Kim Borkland, with Stuart Gibbons, the leading Pro-Am, just behind in 8th, looking to get involved in this as well. But are they going to be able to chase down Stephen Fry by following Adam Delmont here and pull themselves up towards the front? A potential fight for some extra positions. Borkland once again looking to try and make a move, and this time to the inside of Arthur Thurtle. Through the final turn he goes, and Kim Borkland moves up the position. Arthur Thurtle down to 7th, but Thurtle is not going to take that lying down. He looks to the inside, defensive from Kim Borkland. To the outside goes Thurtle on turn 1. Are we going to see that switch over attempt? Yes, we are. Early on the brakes there, but not able to get the speed on the exit. And Kim Borkland will hold on right now. Will Lion now looking to try and get past Luciano Espinera, holding second in class and the overall podium. Gravel kicked up from Delmont. That gap now down to 2.1 seconds. He closed another 0.4 of a second on the last lap, as Lion looking to try and take this position away from Espinera as we come through the carousel of 6, through 7, and up towards turn number 8 when it switches across to the left here into turn number 9, as the sun continues to get a little bit lower in the sky, reflecting off the tarmac here at the Summit Point circuit. We head up towards turn number 10, and through we go. This train of drivers still looking to do something, as Adam Delmont closed up by 0.4 of a second again on their last lap times, as Delmont continues to try and close that gap towards Stephen Fry. There's contact for Lion on the rear end of Espinera. Espinera holds on though to 3rd place, but here goes Lion to try an alternate line. Espinera holds on to it for now though, as Lion looks to the inside. Can't quite do it there, and will have to remain behind for the time being in this fight for the overall podium. It is still Espinera leading ahead of Will Lion, Logan McKenzie, Kim Borkland, Arthur Thurtle, and the Pro-Am driver and leader of Stuart Gibbons. There are a few other trains out there just like this one right now, as drivers are continuing to try and do anything they can in this race. This is one of the other trains being led by that damaged Dan Mould, holding on to a top 10. He's got Eilert, De Jong, Hardy, Mail, and Olsen Lear behind. Of course, we do have that fight for the AM class victory between the two teammates of Torburn Mail and Olsen Leah. They are 14th and 15th position overall in a grid of over 35 drivers. That is fantastic for the AM drivers, where there are only 7 of them in tonight's race. But it is the 2 teammates leading the way, with Mail looking to take a double here at Summit Point. Olsen Leah looking to take his 2nd win of the season. Is there going to be potentially a battle between the teammates as we enter the penultimate lap of asking, or are we going to see them just do the best they can? Dan Mould gets a black flag here, and I'm trying to see where that was picked up. Was it contact for Mould, who decides to get out of the way and backs out Dan Mould out of the race? It looks like it was a nudge. It was the smallest of nudges from behind from Kev Aylett, and then De Jong going into Aylett gave him the instant points, giving Dan Mould the black flag. Mould out of this race. The number 1 driver this season, defending champion, is not having the easiest of races. But talking about races, here we go. The white flag lap. It's a fight for 3rd in this one. It's 2 by 2 up towards turn number 1. Espinera on the inside of Lyon. That's McKinsey trying to get involved on the inside behind. Borkland on the outside, as is Espinera, who holds on ahead right now. McKinsey gets past Lyon as well, but Lyon is going to hold that inside line just behind. Durdle looks to the inside as that sideways for McKinsey. Durdle tries to get past Borkland. Borkland goes defensive and gets the overtake done on Logan McKinsey as well. McKinsey now side by side with Durdle as we head into the breaking point of turn number 5. Durdle's going to have the inside, and McKinsey drops down to 7th. Are we going to see a fight at the front of the field on the final lap of asking? Adam Delmont won race number 1 with a last lap overtake. Will he do the same in race 2? Or will Stephen Fry take the first overall victory by a driver other than the pros? We come out of the final turn. It's going to be a drag race, all about the speed here. But Stephen Fry has the overlap, and Stephen Fry in the semi-pros takes the checkered flag ahead of Adam Delmont, who wins your pro field. 2 pro wins for Delmont, not an overall though. In the end, Stuart Gibbons comes home to win the Pro-Am field, and it will be a double for Torburn Mail, who keeps Vigard Olsen-Leah's teammate behind. Drivers come towards the timing line, and that was a heck of a way to end the race, to the point we will have to have a look across the timing line here for De Jong and Hardy, and just you watch here as they come up towards the timing line. De Jong slows down too early. Carl Hardy takes the semi-pro podium off of Ronald De Jong on the line. 1,000, sorry, not even 1,000. They were separated by 0.000 across the timing line. Carl Hardy takes 3rd position in class. What an amazing event that was. And let's get, for the 2nd and final time tonight, our race results. Stephen Fry, our semi-pro winner, takes the overall win for the first time this season. Our overall winner is not a pro driver. Adam Delmont took home 2nd overall and took his 4th class win of the season. It's not all often a pro driver will take a class win and not an overall win, but it has happened here tonight by less than 1/10 of a second. Luciano Espinera did a fantastic job defending onto 3rd overall in that one ahead of Will Lyon. Kim Borkland came home 5th ahead of Arthur Turtle. Logan McKinsey in 7th, and Stuart Gibbons taking home the win in your pro-ams as well. A great result for Stuart Gibbons. Demis Titcher coming home second in class ahead of Kev Aylett. We then had Carl Hardy, ahead of Ronald de Jong, and Torburn Mail back-to-back wins for him. We have not seen that in the amateur class so far this season, but he is the third driver to now take 2 wins in class. Vigard Olsen Leah took home 14th ahead of Paul Hurley. Deck Crowther took home 16th ahead of Lucas Henschel and Jess Saunders. Fraser Garrity in 19th position ahead of Ben Gibbons. We then had Daniel Lewis coming home in 21st position ahead of JB Deshay. Andy Litzler finished in 23rd ahead of Mark Japper. Alan McCain came home in 25th ahead of Craig Walters. A lap down was Chris London, Daniel Downing, Jack Brown and Kevin Marshall say. Dan Mould coming home 2 laps down in the end after getting that penalty and retiring. Gonzalo Lovera, issues for him as well, meant that he finished 11 laps down. Woodhouse and Brown both 13 laps down after their accidents, with Woodcock Scotton 16 and 18 laps down respectively. Malcolm finishing 20 laps down after an early accident for him, and a shame for the man who did so well in race number 1 with some broken fingers. Not what he wanted in race number 2. Anthony Lammer and Thomas Coombe not starting the second race of the day. Now then, let's jump across and see if we can get some interviews with a few of our drivers out there, because it was a hectic one, to say the least, in that. And there is one man that we are going to have to pull into the broadcast booth here and talk to, because Stephen Fry, not only was it a second class victory for you, you managed to hold off the pro drivers and take an overall race victory in this one. How did that race go for you?
Well, it's a bit of a surprise, to be honest. I was honestly looking at my relative every time I was on a straight. That's hard work, man.
Well,
That
you were able to keep that speed ahead of Luciano Espinera. Adam Delmont moved into second. It looked like a little bit of a harder job for you, but you were able to keep that pace up. How was it those last few laps, seeing that relative just keep on going down?
Very tense, very tense. I knew he had the speed on me, so I was just trying to be very precise with the car and just not lose any time. And then, of course, I made a few mistakes, but just about got it done. Just about.
Well, last lap, it was all the way to the line, less than a tenth of a second, but it was an overall race victory. And for the first time this season, it means that you are the first driver outside of the pro class to take an overall race victory. Were you expecting that at all this season?
No. not at all. No. So it would only ever happen in the reverse grid race. I'm so bad at qualifying, but you know, I'll take my chances when I can.
Well, it means that you've got the maximum amount of points that you can get out of this second race. That will really help you in the championship. We've still got 6 more rounds to go. Are you looking forward to any events in particular?
Not really. I mean, I'll just turn up, do a little bit of practice, and just see how it goes. To be honest, I'm not taking it too seriously.
Wow, you have done a fantastic job here, Stephen. I congratulate you on not only your second class victory, but your first overall race victory as well.
Thank you.
Stephen Fry there coming home in first position overall at the end of that one. And we'll talk to the man that found himself inside the top 10 in both races. First of all, we'll talk about race number 2. That was a hard-fought fight. You came home to take 5th in class, 6th overall. How did you find that one?
Yeah, it was good fun. It was all a bit chaotic at the start, but it normally is in the reverse grids. And yeah, the car didn't have the speed in the first or second race really to keep up with Delmont, but yeah, it was good fun.
I was gonna say, it was a very close fight. The group of you running around in a train all race long. Any small issue would see you falling down the field. We saw that for McKinsey. Were you worried at any point that being too aggressive might see you falling down, or were you just trying to do the best that you could?
No, it was all right. I think I had Stu behind me, and then there was a bit of a gap. So, worst case, whatever I did, I would lose the place to Stu. So no, it was all right. I was all right to be aggressive then.
Race number 1, let's talk through that one very quickly then, because it was a fight with 4 of you for the race win. It came down to the last lap. Of course, we didn't get to see a full replay, but we caught on a little bit what happened there between yourself and Lama.
Well, I'd got my nose up the inside, and I don't know if you had a replay and watched a replay or not, but I'd got on the brakes to take some speed off so that we could get round that corner side by side, and I am assuming Lama just thought I was going to back out of it, which on the last lap going for potential win, I'm not going to do. So yeah, I'd taken the speed off so that we could both get round there safely, and yeah, he just turned across my nose. He went to take the normal racing line, but I was there, I was alongside, so he needed to have lifted off and taken a bit of speed off.
It was
That's my side of it anyway.
Yeah, it was a very tricky one for you in that first race with that contact. But I would say it will be something that is reviewed. But overall, 2 very strong results. That's going to really help your championship standings, as the Pro Championship obviously going the way at the moment of Adam Delmont. Are you looking forward to any particular races coming up that you feel like you might be able to get your way to the front and take your second win of the season?
Any of them that have got fast corners. I mean, Brands Hatch is on the calendar, and that's my local track. That's my favourite track, so that'll be good fun. And I like VIR, which is in a couple of weeks as well. So yeah, we'll see. Magello, I sometimes go well at as well.
Because
hopefully I'll be able to sneak 1 win.
I think you certainly can. You've obviously already taken 1 at Motegi circuit. It didn't have all of those fast corners that you're hoping for in the upcoming races, but as I said, some really good tracks coming up. A number of people talking about VIR as well. Should be a good one. And, of course, the home of the touring cars, the Brands Hatch. It's going to be a fantastic circuit. So, well done on your strong results here tonight, Arthur, and we wish you the best of luck in the upcoming rounds.
Thank you very much. See you next week.
See you next week, Arthur. Thank you. As we are going to come to a close here around the Summit Point circuit. It has been an absolute fantastic one, as everything is broken to the point where I'm not all the way up here. Should we bring myself down? Hello, everybody. I am down here. Hello. As for some reason, we were all the way up there. Oh, and now it's tracking me as well. So there we go. Everything's all working. I hope that you have had a fantastic evening of racing here, though, and that you have enjoyed everything going on. Of course, there will be a couple of reviews, as we just saw out our little camera there. There will be a couple of reviews of some of those incidents during that race, so we will keep you up to date at the start of next week of any penalties that were being applied. Of course, Crowther did have a penalty being applied tonight in race number 1. He was going to get 10% of his points taken off. Codeman still has points to be taken off. So does Colden in their next scoring races as well. So a couple more points outstanding for penalties. However, Adam Delmont's double class win here will excel him even further into the lead of the Pro and overall championship. Stephen Fry's overall race win will certainly be helping him out as well. Disconnects and issues, of course, towards the back of the field for the AM leader, Thomas Coombe, means that we are going to be seeing a change in our AM championship lead. And Luciano's teammate, I should say, Gonzalo Lovera, our Pro-Am leader, also having issues throughout tonight's events as well. So I think there are going to be changes in the semi-pros, the Pro-Ams, and the AMs going into the 5th round of competition. So from here at SRL TV and the broadcast booth tonight, I hope you have had a fantastic Friday night of racing. I certainly have. We will be back for round number 5, which will be at Hungaroring. So we hope to join you then. But until the next one, I hope you are having a fantastic evening. You have a great weekend. We are going to have, of course, the highlights available over on the Joseph Wright Broadcasting YouTube channel within the next few days, so you can go and check that out. If you are watching live here at the moment, though, over on the SRL TV YouTube channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you are notified when we go live and you don't miss any of these wonderful events. And if you're watching over on the Twitch page, make sure you hit that follow button so you don't miss any of the broadcasts that happen over there either. But here tonight, it is good night, and it is see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching and for joining us around Summit Point for the SRL's TCR League season number 10 here. But we head out next time at Hungaroring. So until then, thank you so much for watching, and good night.